Whoa, dude, guys. Um, did Grand Archive team just do the impossible and the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life on a trading card game? Yeah, that's right. You heard it right. Anyways, this is Mark from Solar Games. Today we're going to discuss a gigantic news that dropped on the entire Grand Archive FTC debacle. I know I haven't made a video for a long time, maybe like 5 years or so. But the reality is that today I'm just so excited to make this video. So what happened? Well, if you're catching up from the story, I'll catch the people who don't know what happened up right now, which is FTC, which is the first expansion set of Grand Archive, was released about a month ago. And what has happened is that because the print run number was really high, a lot of people were cracking the cases to get the guaranteed CSR and then basically like dumping the rest of the boxes on the market for cheap. It really crashed the whole market of FTC. In fact, a lot of the really playable cards, like cards I would throw in my deck for this upcoming tournament, were selling for like $1 or $2, even if they're super rares. Like where, as an example, I opened a whole case by myself and I had maybe about 4 of the cards I needed for my deck. Like I barely had enough for playset, right? So that's how rare these cards were that were $1 to $2. Well, Grand Archive team obviously realizing that they don't want their card game to be worth nothing. They don't really want market overreaction the way that it was done. They also didn't like, of course, the fact that people were chasing after certain things and kind of almost like harming the whole market. Remember, the whole idea of having a guaranteed CSR per case is to really help mass box openers, stores alike to have some sort of guaranteed bottom so that they wouldn't have a lot of feel bads. The unfortunate part was there was just a lot of potentially bad actors. I would say not potentially, they were bad actors, kind of cheating the system, right? And offering customers an inferior product for a premium of what they shouldn't have charged. So that's really the problem and really what caused all the tanking, right? Now, data is king. And this is the thing, like after the GA devs released all the things that they released, they actually had a really good idea of how much stores really wanted of this game, how much stores can handle product-wise, whatever, so that there wouldn't be a glut in the market with how much boxes that were out there. However, a lot of stores, in fear that they were going to miss out on FTC and other things, they probably also ordered a lot more than they should have. So this is a two-part system problem, right? So the print run for FTC is large, partially due to the fact that the pre-orders for FTC was really strong, which gave indications to devs that they should like print more. In fact, the market actually could not absorb that much product because there weren't that many players just yet. Again, long term, I think FTC will be fine. And I said that even before this news dropped. But now I'm even more confident than ever that FTC will be fine. In fact, I think the FTC, if it's true that this is the last print run, there's no more boxes of FTC, this expansion set, surprisingly, will probably do actually better long term than Dawn of Ashes. Probably. That's maybe that's hot take right now, but right now that's how I feel. So let's see. Let's talk about what happened, right? So remember, if you remember my previous video about the FTC crash, I told you it doesn't matter, to me at least, what happens, what kind of mistakes GA team makes, what kind of things can happen. These things happen to card games. I mean, Magic has made them, Yu-Gi-Oh's made them. Every single card game you can think of has made these mistakes. What really made me kind of like optimistic and really looking forward to was, what does the GA team do to handle this? I mean, there's very simple solutions you can make, which is like you cut the print run for the next set, you do drastically changes on the drop rates for CSR. These like really basic, obvious things you can do. And again, originally I thought these changes were just going to take much longer. It wasn't going to be something that they can do within like one set, 1 week or whatever. But to my surprise, within about 2 to 3 weeks, right away, the GA team reacted and actually, they dropped a bombshell, right? So bam, I was super wrong. I thought this is going to take years. It's here. So what is the 300 IQ solution? Well, let me tell you. Grand Archive yesterday, about 24, or a little bit more than 24 hours ago, Silidar made a post which says, hey, by the way, there's going to be a redemption event for FTC. And the whole idea here is that, hey, not mentioning anything about FTC crash or whatever, said, hey, guess what? We're going to do a redemption event for FTC at all these GA events like Ascent Houston, Ascent Auckland, maybe some other future Ascent events. what's going to happen is that you will be able to trade in full play sets of FTC, so 4 of each card of rarity all the way up into like ultra rare, and then of course in the ultra rare, some limitations around the stuff to make it actually doable and easy. Basically, I think the one ultra rare that's not a regalia, they're going to require you to have one of those, right of the realm, basically, that card. Everything else that's regalia, they require to have one for the redemption set, and other like playable cards that you put into your main deck, you are required to bring 4. So 4 rares, 4 super rares, and then 1 of each ultra rare. Some of the super rares and rares, if they're regalia, just bring 1, right? So that's the whole idea. Now, of course, what this is doing is saying, hey, there's a lot of product out there. Oh, by the way, before I get too far ahead, if you bring a full set like this, then you're going to be able to get 4 of these exclusive promo, trade-in promos, if you will, of some card, right? So they've kind of showed off the artwork. It's not super clear what the card is. I'm sure people who are smarter than me have already guessed the character, etc. I noticed she has a mole on her like eye, underneath her eye, so I'm pretty sure that's a big clue for who this character is. I haven't looked at all the cards yet. But there's that. And if you bring 3 sets, that's 12 of each like normal playable cards and 3 of each regalia, you're going to be able to also, in addition to the 4 promo foils, you're going to be able to get 1 CPR, a collector's promo rare. Now, they're going to limit this redemption event. It won't be like a free-for-all. I mean, they're going to have a limit to how many people can redeem each day. I'm assuming it's going to happen in the beginning of the day or some time where it's available for everyone. It's kind of fair for this redemption. Of course, you're probably also allowed to maybe redeem only 1 set per person or some other limitation like this, so that a big, vendor, whatever, can't walk up and redeem like, 17 sets or something like that. It feels like that may be the normal thing for this event. I don't know, again, how many of these cards they're going to print. I don't know what's planned. I don't know if they print enough to do redemptions for everybody that wants to do it, and then basically say there's no more, and then that's it, and then destroy the rest of the cards. Again, all the specifics, we have no clue. And with the set coming in like a week and a half, I guess we're going to find out at Houston, and I'll tell you about it. So this is the 300 IQ solution. Here's why. If you think about it, right now, one of the problems with FTC is that on the single side, there's just a high population of every single card. The set itself is smaller. It's 90 cards instead of 400 for Dawn of Ash. And because it's a much smaller set, there's going to be a high population of every single card out there. So, these not as desired, like non-foil versions of cards in FTC, obviously just basically can't hold their price, right? Because there's so many boxes being opened just for the CSRs that nobody really wants to hold the super rares, ultra rares, etc. These cards are effectively like really worthless. Until, of course, basically the devs invented dusting. So if you're familiar with card games like Hearthstone and other digital card games, you can exchange some of your cards that are digital from other sets or things that are no longer useful, and then change them into other cards that are useful. Now, it's not explicitly where you can take like 4 FTC cards and make them into a DOA card type of thing, right? You can't trade like 4 Quicksilver Grails for 1 Grand Crusader ring. But what they're doing essentially is creating a new card that's very just like collector focused that will essentially absorb the high amount of single cards that are out there from the population out of the market. So this has huge effects, of course, and it's actually already really apparent. If you go to TCG Player today, in fact, this was already happening last night. I just didn't have enough time to go report on this yet. And as of making this video, it's already been 24 hours or so. And I mean, any playable SR card of FTC is now up to $25 per card. So Incarnate Majesty, which is a super rare that is very playable for the current meta, well, that card is $25 each, right? So instead of $2, it's $25. If you look at like Bedivere and other cards like this that are SR, that are part of the main deck, they're all going up in price. Morgan, I think, is up to like $6 or $7. Bedivere is also at $25 or higher. And it's not just that they're listed at this price. The cards are selling at this price because, again, there are players who need this card for the tournaments. There are players or collectors who need this card for the trade-in redemption event. And this is where it gets into a really interesting perspective. First, this will drain all of the excess cards from the public market. In fact, it's already done that. As you can see, these cards are just disappearing everywhere. There are no more like Incarnate Majesties at like $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, whatever. The low price, it's all gone. The second tier thing that's going to happen very soon is that all of the actual sealed boxes are also going to go up. Even if they're basically soft boxes, nobody cares. If the soft boxes are $50, people are still going to buy it because they're going to go and just grab these boxes off the market because they can open the boxes and get the cards they need for redemption. Now, it's a little bit more random. You may be getting more of a certain card than other cards, but honestly, with the singles cards disappearing from the market, driving up the EV of the entire FTC box, it's a guarantee. I mean, at this point, given how certain SRs are already going above like $25, the EV for a FTC box is hugely inverted. I mean, if you land anything good, like you land Incarnate Majesty in your 6 SR rare slots, you're gonna already have a $25 box, right? And if the box on the open market is currently what, $50, $55, then you can see it's already like tilted in your favor. Now, if you land any like special like Quicksilver foils that are important, those like 30, $40 each, right? So that's another like more value. And if you land any CSRs, you know, that's even if at $200, $250 a pop, that's way over your box value. Of course, you're not guaranteed a CSR per box. And if they're soft boxes, there's less likely chance that you can get one of those, but it's still possible. Then not to mention any of the foils that are good, right? There's a lot more value there too. So as you can see, across the board, everywhere, everything has a lot more value. And it's just like, basically this changes everything about FTC, about all the boxes, right? And again, longer term. So what we talked about just is short term, but longer term, think about it. What we've been able to do is that it's going to take a lot of the sealed boxes off the market as well. In fact, it will probably absorb a lot more of the sealed boxes that are sitting currently at distribution that stores do not want to reorder, right? That's going to be reordered. That's going to be bought by the stores and going to be bought by the players, which also means, because there's only like 2 redemption events currently, a lot of these boxes are going to be open before these events, and the cards either traded, sold, exchanged among the players, or redeemed to GA, right, into to the Grand Archive team, which means the sealed boxes long term will actually potentially go up in price, which is really interesting because this actually makes it so that if you're holding sealed product of FTC, that in the long term may actually have a lot more higher value than what we're seeing right now on the market. Something to think about, right? Because there should be a lot less boxes, and you can't unseal a box. Once you open it, you can't unopen it, right? So there will be a lot less sealed boxes. Now, as long as the devs hold true that they're not going to reprint FTC at all, this is the final print run, this actually means that there should be less FTC boxes because they've also put a bottom on the entire set. Now, the really interesting perspective also comes with this whole redemption event. Imagine a case where not enough players want to redeem, or they feel like the redeemed card's value isn't there, meaning like you trade it in, but the cards aren't worth, what you get out of it isn't worth the boxes you're paying for, then they won't redeem. And if that's true, then these promos are now actually going to go higher in price, right? The promos balance itself out with the cards that are redeemed. More redemptions, more promos, the promos will have a lower price. Less redemptions, which means lower FTC prices, will mean higher prices for the promo, so that they actually balance. The other stroke of genius part about the whole redemption is that, well, GA essentially can dictate the price of the promos. I mean, yes, do they cost some amount of money to go and print? Absolutely. And do they cost for artists to go draw something? Absolutely. However, it is not necessarily much more than draining the FTC boxes. Imagine them going into the market and actually buying back the FTC boxes themselves, right? That would be way more expensive than just printing some cards and basically effectively doing the exact same thing. Because of this has changed everything. I find it surprising. I've never seen any other card games do this, which is insane. Like, if you look at how this works, my perspective is this is a great tool. Now, we got to be really careful, right? And I was talking to some friends, they have concerns about this too. Long term, what we've done for FTC is great. However, this type of thing should never happen in the first place. Obviously, having a way to kind of deal with the glut in the market is great. Having an opportunity for players to essentially like trade in cards that are worthless is great. However, if we set a precedent that each set will have some sort of redemption event that happens in the future, players may hold on to cards. Players may not make these cards available, and it defeats the other side of this whole economy situation, which I already see a problem. I can imagine right now going into this event, if you're a player who don't have the right cards for the decks you're trying to run, and now you have to go in the open market and buy Incarnate Majesty or Bedivere or whatever other card you need for your deck for like $25, your deck just went up from, let's say, about maybe $100, $150 to maybe $300, right? Because of certain things like this. So there is a negative to this. Now, the benefit of what's happening is that the Grand Archive team also made a comment on the post that these cards that they're collecting back will be given out in future GA events. Now, it's undisclosed how that's going to work. And effectively, because they worded it this way, we have no clue how many cards are traded in. We have no clue what the cards are going to be used for, and some future event can be infinite in the future, meaning they never actually gets released from any events as prizing, right? Or only a small number is released, the rest are actually destroyed or something else. We don't actually know how these cards are going to be handled effectively. I mean, we know it's going to be given out. This is what they're saying, but again, behind the scenes, no one sees what happens to the cards. So effectively, if they burn the cards or they burn, let's say 90% of the cards, we don't know, right? They get slowly trickled back into the market, ideally helping the singles market if these cards are still playable long-term in the future. But we don't know, right? And if the meta changes, anything new happens, these cards are going to fall in prices anyways. So it may not matter because long-term, again, if there's a decent supply of the cards out there, they don't need to release any of these cards back into the market at all. In fact, some of the other cards that are like lower power level or just something that's not very playable right now, they can effectively probably destroy them right now and they would not affect the market long term whatsoever. So that's a lot of things. That's a lot of things to say. There's a lot of things I don't know either. My current plan is to possibly open more boxes. I still have some more cases. I'm actually going to order a few more cases probably for the patrons. We're gauging with the patrons how much more product everyone wants. And based on those numbers, I'm going to try to make an order that will meet everybody's needs. But again, I'm sure every store is thinking exactly what I'm thinking. So the ability for me to go order more products might be a little bit limited given the fact. However, I will say this for now. If you're a patron, you want to get boxes, I will be selling the boxes. My prices are still the same. To be fair to all the patrons who paid the $72 early on, it will still be the $72. I know that's pre-map pricing, all that stuff. But what I will tell you is for my patrons, I'm not selling you soft boxes. These will be coming out of explicit for patron cases. So basically a whole case, I'll open them and I'll sell whatever boxes to patrons. If you want to buy a whole case, I'm not sure if I can do that for patrons, then I can just sell the whole case to you as well. So there's a lot of options here. In addition to that, of course, I'm giving out SP1 packs. So I still have quite a bit of these left over. For each booster box purchase, you're going to be able to get an SP1 pack as well. So that's what I'm going to do for my patrons. If you guys don't want to buy these boxes, that's fine. I'm likely just going to hold on to these FTC boxes that I don't open for long term because I have faith now, seeing what I see, that these prices are probably low for FTC now. I would say sealed product for FTC should see a drastic increase in the future as long as this game is alive. If you don't believe in the card game, you think the card game is going to die anyways, then yeah, don't hold any sealed, sell everything, it doesn't matter. But if you think the card game actually has any legs in the future, right now, it's a pretty good time to kind of like potentially get in. The boxes aren't too expensive for the market yet. I'd probably just buy some stuff. All right, that's going to do it for me for today. Mark Solo Games. What a crazy news, right? But stay classy.